Welcome everybody to another Beyond Bitcoin Hangout. Today is Friday, June 17th, 2016. We're joined today by a bunch of crypto nerds who also tend to have a bias toward the BitShares platform. We love the fact that we can exchange tokens on a decentralized exchange that can't freeze our assets at any moment in time from trading, and offers the protection and security of a blockchain-based decentralized exchange. So because of that, we are branching out and touching other cryptocurrencies and talking to their communities and bringing them on board. And we're starting today with, it looks like, on Steem, where most people are going to start posting their RSVPs under the RSVP thread. PeerPlays has claimed the #1 spot, and they earned $3.48 for it with 4 upvotes. So PeerPlays, you guys are the first in line. Do you want to give any updates and talk about anything regarding the awesomeness of PeerPlays, or how Crypto Prometheus is going to fall against me in a game on PeerPlays? Sorry, I had to talk a little bit, Crypto.
I'll actually jump in here. I think Johnathan may be busy.
I'm here now. Sorry.
I guess we.
Are you stuck in the bunker?
Let's. Fuzzy? Sorry, I just wanted to double check that we're still sort of in the same format here. You want everyone to introduce themselves and talk a little bit about their projects. I'll hand it off to Johnathan here.
Yeah, sure. That would be wonderful if you would introduce yourself and then talk about your project. But we will not be all introducing ourselves all at the same time in the beginning anymore.
Okay, so I should just give the update now?
Yep, sounds good.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Johnathan Baha'i. I am the president of Bunker Chain Labs Incorporated, the company which is heading up the PeerPlays project. Got some exciting news. This week, we sold out. We sold out on our crowdfund and the current phase 1 and phase 2. The next crowdfund that will be taking place will be later this year. And at that time, it will be an auction style crowdfund. In the meantime, though, we did reach our goal, and we were able to raise all the money necessary so that we'd be able to move forward with everything going on. So that was what happened. I believe it was on Monday that we sold. Yeah, thank you. It was really great. The turnout was amazing. We're really excited about that. So we're fully funded. Everything we need to move forward, we're set for. So,
Johnathan, what was the level of funding that you were going for?
I'm sorry, say that again.
What was the level of funding that you were striving for? What did you actually pull in?
So our crowdfund was set up in 2 phases. There was phase 1 where we sold 100,000 tokens at $2 a piece, and phase 2 where we sold another 100,000 tokens at $3 a piece. So totaling those came to $500,000.
Very good. Very good.
Yes, very good. So at the same time, we also made progress in terms of our DAO proposal. Going through the process, however, we were informed by the curators that we needed to pause on being able to move forward with our proposal due to software bugs. So we are still going forward with all the plans that PeerPlays has. The DAO proposal was not, PeerPlays was not, didn't require to have the DAO proposal as part of its plans initially anyway. So with all the funding that we have now, we're moving forward with our plans, and everything is a go. So very exciting times, and that's the update for PeerPlays.
So
right.
essentially, the issues with the DAO were something that was just kind of icing on the cake. You already had the plans to roll out the business proposal after you pretty much had attained most of the funding that you guys essentially figured that you would need to continue on with PeerPlays. So the DAO wasn't necessary at all. It was just icing on the cake. So if that happens, or whether it happens or not, PeerPlays is looking good.
Yeah, I can jump in here. This is Mike Maloney. I'm the PeerPlays communications manager. Yeah, that's essentially correct, Fuzzy. You know, we extended an offer of you know, a business partnership. Let's say is pretty much what it was. You know, offering the DAO a percentage of the PeerPlays network in return for funding. That funding would have gone towards the building of a Ethereum to PeerPlays sidechain, amongst other things. That sidechain was is something on our medium-term roadmap already, but that proposal would have accelerated that. And as Johnathan said, we submitted the proposal to the curators earlier this week. There's actually an update that we posted last night on peerplays.com/news, which gives a brief update of what happened this week. On Monday, we were told that there were a number of bugs in the DAO's code that prevented anyone from submitting funding proposals at that time, and you know, they weren't entirely sure what the time frame was in terms of fixing those bugs. So obviously, anyone who's listening to this after the fact or even right now is probably aware that there were some recent unfortunate developments with the DAO this morning. That's all sort of unfolding as we speak, and so I can't really comment on any of that because I don't really know exactly what's going on, but it seems that there's someone had decided to exploit one of those bugs in the DAO, and so they've got a little bit of a challenge on their hands. But yeah, in terms of PeerPlays itself, you know, PeerPlays is being built on an independent graphene chain. It's not being built on Ethereum, and all of our plans for development were factored into the money that we raised in the pre-sale, and we were successful in raising all that money. So everything's going forward as planned and on schedule. So I also wanted to mention that this Tuesday we are launching a PeerPlays logo design contest. More information about that will be up on the news site probably Sunday or Monday. We'll also be sending out an update to all of our email subscribers. So if you're not on that list, stop by peerplays.com and give us your email address, and we'll make sure that you're the first to know about all the updates that we've got going forward. So this logo design contest there's a $1,250 grand prize for the winning design. It's going to run for about 3 weeks, and basically we're looking for, you know, we're looking for an awesome logo. We have our PeerPlays logo that we put together a couple months ago, and you know, really it just is sort of a placeholder. It wasn't professionally designed, and we know that there's a lot of creative people out there that are going to be better than us at coming up with some logo ideas. I mentioned a couple weeks ago that you know, crowdsourcing design ideas actually has a lot of benefits. You know, when you have a whole bunch of people you can source creativity from, you tend to get a wider spectrum of options. And so we're offering up a pretty decent size prize pool. The $1,250 will be payable either in Bitcoin or in PeerPlays tokens at the winner's choice.
Are you giving extra credit and extra points for Masonic symbology?
Well, I'll tell you what. We have the contest is set up through a Wishpond site, which means it'll be synchronized or simulcast or whatever you want to call it on Facebook as well. And there'll be I'll give the link. I don't think we have it set up, but we'll have the link up on the site in a couple days. It'll have its own independent landing page that you can go and submit your ideas. But there's voting. Everyone can vote on their favorites. And so, Tom, I think if you can recruit all your
Masonic guys,
all the Masons to get on there and upvote for the what is it, the square and compass and square, then
right. I don't think there's going to be any of that going on, not for me at least.
Yeah, well, you can be real subtle about it too, right? It doesn't have
That's
to be.
The whole idea of logos. There's a lot of subtle things that are put in these things that have these subliminal symbology in them.
Sure, yeah, and I mean, I've always been a big fan of symbolism. I'm an artist myself, and a lot of the artwork I do incorporates a lot of symbolism. So, I think that's powerful stuff, and that's something that ultimately what it's going to come down to is it catchy? Is everyone going to remember it? Is it really something everybody likes? And so we're going to. The final decision will be made by the PeerPlays team, but we'll definitely be taking the voting into account, in terms of what everybody likes and what everybody's choice is in that regard. So that's going on this week. We also have we've got the upcoming deadline for the profit sharing module, which we're almost finished developing. Coding, yes, sorry, for Graphene and for PeerPlays. So we'll be releasing that within the next 2 weeks as well. So anyway, that's my brief update. Thank you, and if there's any other questions, I can answer those now.
I have one question, but I'm holding off. Does anybody else have a question or comments? Okay, my question is, when are we going head to head? And when am I going to know what game I'm going to use? What game I'm going to be playing and practicing in my off time, whatever off time I find.
So if this was a sword fight, you would be that guy in the scene that gets all angry and starts running at the really calm guy, and I do all these juke moves and step out of the way, and you end up falling on your face.
We'll see, my friend. We'll see. You didn't answer the question.
Yes.
He's a good diplomat.
Yeah, we're gonna do something fun, Fuzzy. It's going to be a few months from now yet before this goes down, but I'd like to do some sort of exhibition match, and we can send out the maybe we can have a contest where someone can draw up the fight poster,
Oh, I would love it.
Cage match.
They have to give me a
Epic
six
battle.
pack though.
Well, we're paying out in Bitcoin, so you can buy if you've got a liquor store near you, talk to your local liquor store owner and get them to accept Bitcoin.
That sounds good. All right, guys. Well, thank you for the update. Let's go ahead and move here to Cryptoctopus said I would like to have Ned on the show. Ironically, Cryptoctopus, Ned is going to be on here in about probably 35-40 minutes. I will, however, ask everybody here who is listening, who is attending, or who are on Steem to let these gentlemen know that, yes, Ned does own Steem but I have the rules that I have to run by on this Beyond Bitcoin sub-Steem. So if you guys could kindly ask them to post to let everybody know when they're planning on joining up, that would be very helpful. And then let's go ahead and move on to the next one here. Would you be able to talk briefly about how other cryptocurrencies can get added to BitShares? As far as I can tell, you need to get a bridge gateway, and the only possible gateway bridge for altcoins at the moment is CCEDK. And this is coming from CM-Steem Steem on Steemit. Sorry, I hear myself talk sometimes, guys, so I have to. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and give a quick answer. And do you guys feel like maybe you could cover anything that I miss?
Yeah, sure, go ahead.
All right, so BitShares has multiple kinds of ways of getting onto the platform. We have market pegged assets, and we have UIAs, which can have various attributes to them, such as fee-backed assets that gain value from offering a service and charging a slight cut off of every time the asset is traded or used, depending, of course, on the service. And then we have the market pegged assets, which are a decentralized mechanism for pegging cryptocurrency tokens to the value of various commodities or stocks or cryptocurrencies or fiat currencies. So this is another way of getting onto the BitShares exchange, and probably one of the best ones. CCEDK, in terms of the bridge and gateway, CCEDK is actually a centralized exchange. Open Ledger is the BitShares powered exchange, and that's run by the same guy, Ronnie Bosing. And he is actually partnered up with Block Trades as a bridge for altcoins. So you can actually trade Open Dash for BTC on Block Trades, etc. You could do it for BitUSD, or your coin could be PPC, or whatever your coin is. Or you can actually have your own UIA that is traded on Open Ledger, or you can have your own front-end interface, kind of like Open Ledger does, and you could even potentially customize it for your own cryptocurrency to have its own trading pairs, primarily with your cryptocurrency. So there's a lot of cool things that can be done. Does anybody feel like I need to cover anything else with this?
Yeah, well, the question was really how other cryptocurrencies can get added to BitShares. And the answer to that is you need to get to one of those gateways that are existing right now and try to convince them to add it.
But if they do that and they don't have an actual asset on the exchange, then it doesn't work, correct?
Yeah, sure. That's why you need that gateway to add it, and the gateway will have to, the people running the gateway will have to release an asset because they have access to the funds you deposit, so they will need to have access to the asset to give it for the coins.
So, I see what you're saying. So you're saying that Block Trades itself might actually add that into their fee to be listed on Block Trades, and
right, or Open Ledger, or I'm not too sure about the different gateways where they are connected and which belongs to whom. So just find one gateway and ask them if they'll add you.
So Block Trades is one, Shapeshift is another one. Does anybody know of any other ones? I'm seeing something called BitSquare that I've been looking into lately a lot, but I don't know too much about them to talk about it. Are block trades and Shapeshift the only ones that are bridging services that we could even possibly be approached by about this?
Well, with block trades and Shapeshift, you're not really having those coins on BitShares. They could just sell them somewhere and buy what you need. So the only thing I know which can get a coin or an asset of a coin to BitShares is OpenLedger at the moment, together with CCEDK.
So it would actually be directly through Ronnie boasting of OpenLedger.
Right, or get some decentralized gateway running. I'll shut up.
No, you don't need to shut up. This is actually kind of the reason why I like to have everybody together here, because our community, all of us get to see various aspects of BitShares, and not all of us, none of us see the entire picture. So it's nice to have people be able to speak up and give the input that they can give, right? So it looks like Freedom Ledger will be another one, but that's not quite yet. Is there an ETA on Freedom Ledger by chance? Okay. All right. Well, here is the next one that I want to talk about, and this is something I would actually ask everybody to consider spending some time talking about and bringing up with us. KenCode reached out to me after, I think, the hangout two weeks ago, yeah. And he asked me about the website, and the website is currently down. But in the future, obviously, I would like to get it back up and running. However, we are, after talking about it for quite some time, we decided to go forward and put together a proposal and ask everybody to consider upvoting it on Steemit to build essentially a Steemit and IPFS, which is interplanetary file system based website that would actually we could post everything to the site and actually have it backed up on IPFS and a host of other awesome things. But I'm going to go ahead and post this real quick to see if everybody will consider voting it up. Oh, thanks, KenCode. You got to it before I did.
I beat you to it.
So there's a lot to this, but overall, what it's going to essentially enable is for us to have our posts, the content that we have is going to be able to have Steemit as the back end, and it's going to be posted to Steemit automatically when we post something. And whenever I talked to KenCode about this, I said I would gladly do it, but the one thing that I want to make sure of is, would we be able to enable this template to be usable by anybody who wants to create content? And Ken said, of course, that's how I want to do everything. So this would be essentially, not only would this be something that we would be the first movers in, but we would be able to test this and help work out the bugs and everything so the template can be used by other content creators, which would just make it easier for more people to join Steem and create content that is held on a website, but actually is posted to Steem it on the back end to help monetize their content. So with that said, does anybody have any questions, comments, thoughts?
Fuzzy, can you hear me?
Perfectly.
Oh, okay. Yeah, but to monetize you too, Fuzzy. I mean, you don't make anything, man. This is why I came up with this, because it's like, you know, you've been with us for a couple of years and you get paid squat. And so I would really like to see you have the ability to get paid for your time. And the old site that you had was decent. It just needed an upgrade more or less. But if you go to a card type site where all of your recordings are automatically recorded, and you can do this through WebRTC and Record RTC, and there's a lot of different repos that are out there that'll automatically dump to MP3 and MP4 and stuff. But this way you can edit the file, do the transcriptions. And there's probably even repos out there that'll automatically transcribe stuff like that too, but I haven't looked into those repos. But that would be kind of cool too, to actually be able to have some Google food that can be indexed from each of your recordings. But anyways, when the content gets posted then to beyondbitcoin.org website, it can now be upvoted on the Beyond Bitcoin website. But every time Fuzzy posts one of his mumbles, one of his hangouts, it'll automatically get posted to the Beyond Bitcoin site and to Steem it. So those upvotes that are being shown are reflected from the Steem blockchain itself. And then using the libraries that we wrote for our point of sale systems and our wallets, the interviewees that are on Fuzzy's show can be tipped in any currency. So, or any cryptocurrency, sorry. So, you know, like the top 7 that we usually put onto the point of sale systems, somebody can tip the interviewee then as well in Ether, Dash, Doge, Bitcoin, Litecoin, and so on. So this makes it very powerful and very enticing for interviewees to come onto Fuzzy's show, because they're going to get tips in any currency, which can automatically go to their BitShares account. Of course, you got to at least have your interviewees at least have a BitShares account so that all those different cryptos can go to one account. But that takes 2 minutes, not even 2 minutes, with our mobile wallet. But what's great, Fuzzy, is you can finally get paid now through all these upvotes and stuff that you can post on your content. And then, of course, make the content and your different mumbles and hangouts and stuff searchable too. So it's just an extremely clean, simple new website layout for beyondbitcoin.com. And my web guy is doing nothing right now. So if I can put him to work on this and get that done, we've already done the code that does everything else. So all we got to do is just put that in behind the site. So, and no, I don't like iframes. But anyway, that is a good idea. I see what you're saying, Arahag. But what I want to do is just keep it as clean as possible, make it mobile friendly, you know, responsive and stuff, and just some way for Fuzzy to finally get paid, and to try to automate as much of his job as possible, and entice more interviewees and mumblers, and have them have the ability to get tipped in any crypto. So
I'll say this real
real
quick, Ken. I just want to step in, and I want to say that even with my humble BTS holdings, if they go to if they go to $1 each, I think I will be fine. So my main goal is making sure that our community has a way of showing off what is under the surface of the water, where everybody sees that tip of the iceberg. I want everybody to be able to say, hey, let's lift the iceberg out of the water once a week and show everybody what's underneath, right? I mean, give them a little quick look-see. So to me, incentivizing you guys and everybody who is working on BitShares and sacrificing for BitShares, bringing them together and enabling them to have a place where they can leverage as a media outlet to not only show off what they're doing, but to have the ability to help their partners or potential allies in the space to work on getting coverage for them as well. There's a lot that can happen with something like this as a hub for activity in terms of the content creation and the human side of BitShares and this technology, which is where the network effect is going to come from, right? So I greatly appreciate it. And I wanted to ask you, Ken, because one of the things that really made me pumped up when you brought this up was you have a lot of people who are concerned about quote unquote whales in the Steemit ecosystem, right? And they think that maybe perhaps correctly, at least at present, that having whales as part of Steemit, that if they don't upvote your content, you're pretty much screwed, right? But that's not necessarily true. If I have a website where I can drive all the users, let's say I'm a content creator of 4 or 5 years, and I have, 10,000 regular listeners, and they don't miss it. Every week they want to show up to listen to what BitShares and its partners are doing. And they join up and they listen to the Hangouts and they go to the website, or they listen to the Hangouts instead of joining up, and they go to the website and they upvote the content there, because they don't see, necessarily, they're not going to see the stuff that is unofficial. They're not going to be seeing a bunch of stuff that whales have upvoted already. So they're not going to have that incentive to say, oh, well, there's this Beyond Bitcoin thing, which is a little bit lower. It doesn't look like a lot of people have voted it up. This thing's at 600. If I vote it up, I'm probably going to get something from it. Right? You have this ability to use that interface, and especially if every content creator has that template, they can now drive all their users to upvote their content first and foremost, right? And then some of those users will then go on to Steemit and, maybe even create content themselves. But if you have that following and they all have influence, and you drive them to a website where they can upvote it, that's where they're going to do most of their influencing, right?
Yeah, I mean, Steemit.com is just one example of access to the Steem blockchain. So there's really no reason not to extend the Steem blockchain to other sites now. And I think your case is just perfect for this, Fuzzy, because, like I said, you don't make anything, and don't cut yourself short. What you're doing is got high value to it, especially for a lot of these coins and different businesses that want to get some exposure. This is perfect for them because they can get some tips just from coming on, but they want to come on anyways to be able to advertise their stuff. So, and you get paid for your time, Fuzzy. So this is just basically just imagine the Steemit interface looks totally different. Make it look like Fuzzy's old site, Beyond Bitcoin, with the cards and stuff that were from each post. And now people can upvote right there on Beyond Bitcoin site and tip the interviewees directly. It'll go right to their BitShares account. So it's just a very simple, just clean. It's just a one-page site. Display 20 records or something at a time, 20 mumbles at a time. Person scrolls down, and then another 20 will display, and so on. Anyhow, it's a very simple site where people can tip and Fuzzy can get paid.
Well, and this is a question I want to ask you is, how do you think that this would enable me to give some of this? Because I'm going to be honest with you. I love Beyond Bitcoin, but I want this to be something that grows to be something that I'm just a part of. Like, I'm working for it. I'm not considered, the head of it in any way, shape, or form. I would like it to be a decentralized type of thing that starts in BitShares. So how do you see any ways, or have you thought of any ways that we might be able to enable something like that? Like ownership of Beyond Bitcoin, kind of like LTB Coin does?
Yeah, but why, Fuzzy? I mean, Fuzzy, you're still giving. I love that. But geez, man,
The
you got
Block
bills to pay.
Explorer, dude.
You got bills to pay, Fuzzy. I mean, I love that you want to give everything away all the time, but Fuzzy, you got to get paid, man.
Thank you,
really
Ken.
need to
Thank
take
you.
those upvotes and keep it so you can move forward, Fuzzy. You got a life and a child, and I got children too, man. It's like you got to really think about yourself sometimes too, man. Really.
Well, once this gets bigger, what I would like to do is have my own show called The Block Explorer that is a little bit more polished and interview-esque, and still hold hangouts maybe like once a month, but let everybody else in the Beyond Bitcoin ecosystem do that too.
You've got the great brand already, man. Beyond Bitcoin is a fantastic name. It totally says
It is, you're right.
exactly what your show is about already. So you've got a brand. Don't mess with your brand once you've got the recognition already.
Well, and that's not necessarily, I'm actually seeing the Block Explorer as one of the shows that would be on the Beyond Bitcoin network. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I guess.
You've got to admit the Block Explorer is a hell of a name, and I would enjoy thoroughly going out and bringing a bunch of different communities onto BitShares, and I could do it in this way. You know what I mean? Like, it would actually enable me to say, yeah, I am the Block Explorer, and I'm coming out and I am wanting to see, and embed myself with your community for a few weeks and then do a hangout with you. And maybe we could even use that if I could coordinate with the BitShares community. I could actually grab those people and we could do something to bring them on to the BitShares exchange and promote it. Maybe we could use some of the profits to do that. I don't know. There's a lot that I am very interested in, what opportunities you guys see that something like this could help enable.
Here's the thing. If you have more working capital, Fuzzy, you can attract bigger speakers. Imagine getting
So true.
or Voorhees or somebody like that on your show. So I know you want to divvy up all your money to people, whatever, but yeah, I'm a miser, but goddamn it, put that money to work, man. I mean, you can get big names on your show and make Beyond Bitcoin much, much bigger than it is, and have additional moderators and show hosts. Use that money because like Andreas wanted like 20 grand or something. Chris was telling me that Andreas wanted some insane amount of money just for an interview. And so, yeah, it's like you really got to have that working capital ready to go if you want to get some big names on too. And when you got big names coming on, then everybody wants to come to your show. Hence more upvotes, hence more tips. It's just it becomes a machine, man. And the more we can automate this for you and help you to get paid, the better.
Well, I'll definitely agree with the automation, and I don't mind getting paid, but I actually would prefer the expenses just to be paid, because I think that, though I do not disagree with you, Ken, I agree with you a lot, actually. I'm hoping, and maybe I'll have to just get rid of this hope, but I'm hoping that you guys will be the next Andreas Antonopoulos and big names in the space. And if we can help project those projects out into the sphere of influence that we have, and we can grow that sphere of influence over time, you guys will become basically like the next the big names in the space, which means that I don't have to rely so much on paying somebody like Andreas, because we're building the Andreas Antonopoulos of the future here, and we're showing them off here, and they're the ones who are part of it. And if they all have a stake in this, and they all have a transparent content creation system where everybody knows where the biases lie. Somebody like, for instance, could represent SuperNet or Gridcoin or SolarCoin for their own hangouts. You have this ability, but they're also listening to you guys. They're going to all approach you guys to try to find out ways of utilizing and leveraging BitShares to their own advantage. So those are the things that I'm thinking. I mean, that's the way that I would like to take it. The question is the community interested in backing me and really working on this? Now, I know that I see 25 plus people in here, even when Bytemaster isn't here. That tells me that BitShares is not dead. My God, like BitShares is number 16, I think, in CoinMarketCap right now. But I feel like Bytemaster stepping back and stepping out of the equation for a moment actually has not changed the value proposition to a place where we should be at 16. And I think that we need to show you guys off. And that's the main goal. But if you want to throw capital at me, I will definitely put it back into the ecosystem. So I guess with that said, will anybody upvote it?
I would really like to see your show become more popular, because when you do that and you have the working capital now to be able to bring on some of these bigger names, everybody's going to flock to you. And the fact that you're BitShare centric, or at least I hope you still are, that says a lot to the people that are coming onto your show too, and the people that will be watching those people that come on your show. So, like I said, but I got to leave in about 5 minutes, Fuzzy. But this is something that I hope all you guys really consider, because it won't take us long to put something together for Fuzzy like this with a back end for him, and we'll try to automate as much of it for him as we can to kind of alleviate some of his load. And if there's a repo out there that actually does transcription from audio files, let me know too, because that would actually be pretty cool, because transcriptions end up as Google food, which will help sites like Beyond Bitcoin become much more popular and be on page 1 of Google results for people searching for Andreas or Voorhees or Ver, or, any of the people that Fuzzy has on his show. So anyways, I look forward to it, Fuzzy. So let me know how it's going, and I'm ready when you are, man. So good luck with the project, and I'll talk to you guys soon.
Well, I want to say that I appreciate you, KenCode. I mean, it's helpful to know that there are people out there recognizing that there's a lot that goes on behind the scenes past just having hangouts, and it is work. It's work that I enjoy and I love. And I believe in the platform and the vision of BitShares and the toolkit. So that's, we're all here to make the world a better place, at least to a degree. Some of us might be here for the profit a little bit more so, but some of us, recognize that you need profit to make the world a better place more quickly. So I do gladly will accept any help in that area, because automation of this will be probably one of the biggest benefits that I can see, honestly. I mean, if I can post one place and it goes to 3 or 4 locations, and that saves me, 2 or 3 hours of time just waiting to have something upload and get posted to all these multiple locations. So thank you. And does anybody here have any questions, comments, or anything that they'd like to bring up as a suggestion?
I just want to echo Ken's idea about bringing in these other big name speakers, because it's not just that people know about BitShares and these projects that are going on behind the scenes. It's people new to the blockchain community and all this technology. Some of them aren't aware, and by bringing in these other people, then a part of expanding our sphere of influence is working with these other people that are already big, just as much.
I agree with you 100%. I actually have under Beyond Bitcoin, there is can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
On Beyond Bitcoin, there's actually the Beyond Bitcoin sub-Steem it. We have a letter that I sent out to Juan, man, I forget the last name right now, but
Juan Esco?
Anesco of IPFS, and I reached out to him and wanted to see if other people would do so as well. These are the types of posts you will see me doing, because whenever I send a message to somebody asking them to join the community, it only has a little bit of weight, right? But if there's a large group of people who reach out as well, then that person who I'm trying to reach out to is going to get, if they get 5, 6, 7 emails, or let's say everybody here, the 21, 22 people who are currently in here were to send something to this person, the likelihood of them joining us is pretty high, because they're going to see that there's a huge demand for it, or at least what they think is a huge demand for it from their perspective, because they might have an email inbox full of requests, but it's very rare that they're going to get an email inbox full of requests from one project that wants to talk to them. So that's going to be memorable. That's going to be something that's going to stick out. It's called salience. It's something that is going to be leveraging the power of our numbers to bring other people on who we want to have be part of our community. So that's kind of where I'm going with this. And I will definitely say, please check the Beyond Bitcoin sub-Steem it and try to participate in these efforts that I'm putting together, because these efforts are designed and meant to utilize and leverage you guys to get us where we need to go. Because I understand I cannot do it all on my own. And I have no qualms with that. As a matter of fact, that's probably a good thing. But I would definitely want to make sure that I leverage the power of our community to uplift our projects and to get people seeing what's going on and to give us these allies who are big names in the space. So if you guys can help me with that, I think that we might not need 20,000 to get, for instance, Andreas Antonopoulos on here. Who knows? Maybe we can get him to debate Bytemaster. Anyway.
Debates are always fun. I'm sorry for being late to this mumble today. We've been having lively debates trying to prepare for the discussion on curation rewards. So, I'm sure they're going to have a very lively debate about that.
On the curation rewards? Yeah, this has been something I've been tracking a little bit throughout the week as well.
So, and the events of today have me thinking about a new blog post about the DAO and Ethereum. But I don't know if you guys talked about it at all today, but lots of lessons to learn.
I feel like, sorry just to throw this in there, but I feel like Ken Larimer's kind of been vindicated over these past few weeks. We had the, remember that infamous post that caused all of the uproar that he posted a couple years ago about Nubits and how Nubits was fundamentally unstable, and now his now infamous post about the DAO being DOA, and yeah, Mr. Larimer might know what he's talking about here. I think people are starting to come around to that.
Well, I will never forget reading the blog out loud and recording its audio and then posting it to Twitter and getting a hailstorm of anger at me. And then...
All right, so I don't know if I'm interrupting any discussion that was going on before, but if you guys are open for it, I'm ready to start discussing the curation rewards.
Sure, please.
Hey, hold on there 1 sec. I got to figure out the. There's a robot that keeps talking over everything.
Okay. Hold on a second. You're going to go under configure and text to speech. Should probably be checked. You want to uncheck it.
Okay, I think that did it. I unchecked text to speech.
Good.
All right. So first of all, I'd like to thank everyone for showing up and for all the contributions everyone's made on this lively debate over curation rewards. I'd like to start out by premising everything that the purpose, or at least from my perspective, of Steem has been to recognize everyone for their contributions, to have a relatively fair way of weighting the relative value of contributions, particularly contributions that are subjective in nature. That's the real challenge we have here with Steem. It's never really been done before, at least nothing like what we've been doing with Steem. So we're here today because of a governance issue. How are we going to decide on hard forks? How are we going to decide what is best for the platform as a whole? I'd like to also state that I have nothing against anybody. What we're experiencing with Steem is very similar to what's currently going on with the DAO. We've got a set of code that's trying to accomplish one thing, right? There's the intention of the code, and then there's the implementation of the code. And the debate that is raging right now is whether or not communities can vote to change the implementation to match the intention. And Ethereum's talking about doing a hard fork to correct the DAO bug, even though technically that's what's going on with the DAO is following exactly the rules of the smart contract. So this is the nature of what we're talking about here. So I'd like to start out with saying that the stakeholders, the people who hold Steem, they are the supreme authority over all things Steem. And it's the combined effort of everyone working together that decides who gets what Steem. And that when we make decisions that are good and that accurately and fairly treat all members, the community grows. When we make decisions that harm particular people or that aren't good for the community as a whole, it divides the community and the community shrinks. The lessons learned so far that code is never perfect, and I really think that smart contracts are really dumb contracts because they don't have human intelligence. They are just blindly following a set of code. But anyway, on to the curation reward situation. We've got a pool of funds that we are looking, the voters have to distribute to those who have done the best curation. There's two ways in Steem to distribute funds. One is directly by voting on posts. The other is by voting on witnesses. So what we've discovered is that there is a bug, for lack of a better word, in the algorithm that's allocating the curation rewards. We've had some people run some numbers on it. The top curator is actually Ned. And he is getting curation rewards of 2.5 times the largest author. All right. We feel that that is completely disproportionate with the value that Ned's provided by upvoting posts. And I think that any reasonable member of the community would recognize that that is not the intended goal. The intended goal was to recognize and reward those who find content early. So there have been some accusations about our intentions. I think I tried to address some of that in a post on Steem the other day, but with the numbers we have here, any changes that we're proposing to make are harm us the most, harm Ned, harm me the most, because we felt that the way the algorithm is currently allocating to us is actually harming all of Steem. We don't want that. That was not the intention. So that's the reason why we've introduced the concept of completely getting rid of the curation rewards. But of course, there's been debate since then about, well, they are providing some value. So today we'd like to discuss two things. One is what we're doing on July 4th, and the other is after July 4th. So the first thing we want to do is fix the curve so that people like Ned aren't getting all the curation rewards. And then the next thing we want to do is after July 4th, reduce the percentage of payouts that go to curation rewards. There's been lots of people, Ben, also known as Theoretical, has come up with an algorithm that's also very similar to some of the other proposals out there. It should give a curve that isn't n cubed, and makes it so that it truly accomplishes the intent of what we were trying to do with the curation rewards. It should cause that those who voted frequently and found the good content do get a higher share of the curation rewards for everything to date. Still allocating 50% of all the rewards to curation rewards. So we're not changing anything other than fixing the curve to accomplish the original intent. And I think that a lot of people who have been curating were operating under the assumption that they could get something, but because the curve is so broken, 99.9% of the curators are getting next to nothing. And that is clearly a bug that needs to be resolved. So,
out of curiosity, do you mind if I step in with a question real quick?
Sure.
I've read a pretty good bit of this, but I haven't probably hit on all of the points that have been made. Has anybody talked at all about the issue with curating actual replies to content? Because it seems right now like there's very little incentive for people to comment and give highly detailed and high quality content in terms of replies to content on Steemit. And I see often people helping each other, and I'll upvote them, but I think to myself, if I wasn't a mini whale, it really wouldn't, I would walk away feeling like I didn't really do much to help anybody. Has any discussion gone on about this? Because I feel like curation rewards, that's a really important job for curators, right? So if that could be an incentive that's considered as well, it would be important to do so if at all possible.
I thought the whole point of, well, I thought one of the major points of Steem is indeed for curation. That's one of the engines that drive content is the rewards for curation. So this is kind of surprising to hear that this it could just be a bug and you'll fix it and move on. But on the other hand, if this is a fundamental design issue of the scheme of the whole premise of Steem, then that's a whole nother matter.
Now, a brief history on the design of Steem. Curation rewards were the last concept that we added, and it has unintended side effects. I believe the platform works perfectly fine without them. The curation rewards we thought would boost it by encouraging people to be more proactive. So we still want to have them, and we're still going to have them. What we're going to do is sort of redistribute the ratio of funds dedicated to different things. So you can still make money by curating, you can still make money by being active, and we're going to direct some of the current curation awards into the discussion of a particular post. So the more popular a post becomes, the larger the rewards are for discussing content. Now, discussion is another type of curation. It's a way of reviewing, critiquing things. If you have a really long article, reading the discussion helps. If someone just posts a YouTube video, reading the comments tells you if you should spend 20 minutes watching it. It's a different type of curation. It's still curation and still valuable. And I think that anything that's getting a lot of upvotes needs to have feedback on why it should or shouldn't get the upvotes, how it impacted you, so on and so forth. What did you appreciate about it? Those types of reviews are a type of curation that helps people. It helps people decide whether or not they should vote. And so if we're going to be allocating thousands of dollars worth of Steem to a post, a certain percentage should go toward the discussion of what's being voted on. And the act of doing that creates more opportunities for people who might not be superb writers, able to generate top-level posts that get high payouts. But they can certainly say, hey, I like this, and here's where the discussion is on Reddit, or here's a link to something else related to this, or providing extra relevant information is something that anyone can do without writing a huge post. And now there is effectively a bounty on every popular post to produce the best comments. So the way we're structuring it is you have a discussion post, top-level post, and all the comments. And you can view each discussion as a microcosm of Steemit as a whole, where people come and they add comments and they're all competing to provide the best comment because there's a fixed payout to comments of that post no matter what. It means that if there's not very many comments, it's going to be very high rewards. So the market takes over, competition takes effect, and now we've got more opportunities for more people, and overall better quality curation and cross-linking. Probably help with Google search engine optimization as people post links to other things on Steem and help rank things. So I think there's a lot of benefits by dividing some of the rewards going to every discussion amongst the comments relative to it. So
Arhag's saying, when can we see the actual numbers for theoreticals curve similar to this? And then he posted a link to a Steemit article. Or at least when will the code including that curve be pushed to GitHub so I can generate the numbers? And Complex Ring has a similar question.
Sure. We are implementing that in the code right as we're talking right now. Ben and Michael are implementing it, and right after this, I'm going to go join in. The goal is to have the numbers and the code by the end of the day.
Can you just share what that what the new curve would be?
The new curve is effectively saying that regardless, you only make money. Let me try to express it. Theoretical wrote an entire paper on it. It's been posted in Slack and maybe even posted on Steem for a while now. So if you review the post of Theoretical, you'll probably find something that gets pretty close to it. I'd like to draw your attention to the Mumble chat session to see the problem with the current curve. There's a graph here that shows you the top one's the distribution for the curators, the bottom one's the distribution for the authors. And each dot on there represents an account. As you can see for authors, there's a very gradual slope that represents the distribution. It almost looks like a normal distribution for authors, and that sounds and looks right. It's what you'd expect. There'd be a few really good authors, many average authors, and then a long tail of people receiving less and less amount. So that looks really good. But when you look at the curators, there's maybe 10 people that get something and almost everyone else gets nothing. So that's clearly not what we wanted. We wanted everyone to be able to participate in the curation rewards. So under the new model, we'll generate a similar graph, and we will consider it a success if the graph is significantly flatter than what you see there. Some changes that we're going to make in the new interface is when you create a post, you can check a checkbox to automatically vote for yourself. If you do that, that makes sure you get the biggest advantage in the curators. You don't have to worry about anyone beating you to it. And we're considering allowing you to use a little bit of extra voting power when you vote for yourself. So that should give authors the incentive to accumulate power so that they can vote for themselves and really bootstrap the whole thing. I really do feel that we'll get a much flatter curve with many more people profiting from the curation as was intended.
Do we think that this is, is this going to make it so people want to curate more and get paid for it? Or, I mean, I see some people who don't have a whole lot of Steem power who seem to be curating or attempting to do so. I guess the question is, how do you do this while uplifting them? Is this just like a slight change in parameters and adjusting and kind of testing it again after this? Is that the plan? To see if it works?
Right now, there's an equation that we're using that takes the total number of voting shares, and it has a cubed function divided by a square function. The impact of the function is to more heavily bias things toward people with large stakes. So much so that Ned, because he's one of the largest stakeholders, even though he hasn't been voting nearly as often as anyone else, has accumulated the majority of the rewards because his votes simultaneously increase the payouts to the posts and give him a large share of it. Ideally, the system would not be as biased toward the large stakeholders. We're trying to make it so that there is no penalty for being a large stakeholder, and there is no reward for being a large stakeholder, which means that it doesn't matter if you're a small fish or a big fish, your opportunity is the same, and that the only benefit is from being early and identifying the content quickly. So our intent is to remove the centralization bias of large stakeholders.
Have you guys considered how the bots are going to take effect on that? Because I've noticed I manually curate, and I notice even whenever I post my own posts and I go to upvote it, I am not first on my own posts because of these bots. So do you see this being a problem?
The solution we're doing there is to make sure that authors can always be first on their own post. That means that if you take someone who's a popular author like myself, who also happens to have a large amount of stake, I'll post something, I'll vote for myself. That means that the bots who come to vote after me are going to get a lot less, and the authors will get more. It will balance things out a little bit from the bots, because bots can't beat your transaction if your post doesn't exist until you simultaneously vote for it. So that's the intent for that.
But the bots aren't just posting or voting now; they're also posting comments.
Posting comments as a bot is a good way to earn a bad reputation. It's clearly visible. People will notice it. One of the things I outlined earlier in my post on evil whales is the principle that the good guys always get a chance to vote no last. That if someone earns a reputation, they can't run and they can't hide because their Steem power is locked up, which means it's trivial to have good whales write bots that will automatically counteract the impact of bots that are deemed evil. Evil in the sense that they are harming the platform by posting spam just to collect a reward. So that's the idea there. We don't want to encourage that, and if it's not profitable because we have the curator bots coming and counteracting them, then they won't even attempt it. because it just won't be worth
I like
it.
that.
But what I see is I see newbies who are doing an introduce yourself responding to a comment from a bot. It's really laughable.
True. Yeah. So there are people welcoming newbies. I have mixed feelings about the welcome bots. It is nice to have a welcome bot, in some sense. The newbies don't realize that it's not personal, and that can kind of make the whole platform not seem authentic. But there's a difference between writing bots with an attempt to help. Like I think the welcome bots were attempting to help these people. But if we identify that people are they're doing something that's harming the platform, we can start manually downvoting them. And if they persist in the face of manual downvotes, we can start automatically downvoting them, things like that. So as a community, the goal of the crab bucket analogy in the white paper is anytime we see someone gaming the rules to what we perceive to be the detriment of the platform as a whole, we can pull them back in by our voting behavior. And that's the purpose of Steem, to provide a new way to allocate stake in a joint venture between everyone out there that doesn't have the pitfalls of centralized, make everyone vote on everything. So as long as the good guys have the advantage over the bad guys, the system can organically stabilize itself. And the way we give the good guys the advantage is to make sure that downvotes, a downvote is purely selfless. There's no benefit to the person who's doing the downvote because they're not getting paid for it. And the result of the downvote is to distribute rewards to everyone else and away from the person you're downvoting. Because there's no incentive to do it, and the downvoter doesn't profit themselves by their downvote, it's really hard to see any kind of downvoting as abuse. People might not like it, people might get upset and whatnot. I would say don't take downvotes personally. It's just the process working out, people trying to express their values and making sure that the system as a whole allocates things fairly. A downvote is effectively saying everything else on this site is more valuable than this. And that's a perfectly legitimate expression. They could have upvoted everything but you, but instead, it's more efficient to just downvote the one post.
What about where the person downvoted retaliates by going into the blog of the person who did the downvoting and downvotes every one of his posts?
Sure. There can be blowback. So you don't want to start a war, but if you don't make friends and you start pissing people off, then you're going to have more downvotes, which is going to reduce your stake. So the people who are going to do best on the platform are those who make the most people happy and offend the least number of people by their actions. And that's the same as it is in any community. I don't think we want to try to analyze it any more than that. It's all subjective, right? There's no way to say this is objectively better than that. What we do know is that everyone has a financial interest in the long-term viability of the platform. No one benefits by taking actions that result in devaluing their vesting stake. That keeps everyone honest. That causes everyone to check, do I really want to troll this? Do I really want to spam? Am I really profiting by harming the, getting a little bit of rewards here, but, harming the value of Steem as a whole. The larger stake you have in the platform, the more incentive you have to be good, because the more you have to lose by small fluctuations in the price. So,
out of curiosity, real quick, you are mentioning the good guys being able to have a place where, you know, or being able to downvote these comments. Is there a place where anybody who's listening who might want to be part of that coordinated effort, is there a place that you would recommend them going to become part of that?
I think coordination can happen on Slack.
You say Slack?
Yes.
And people can get on
coordinate
there
all that stuff. We don't
directly
need to do that. We don't need to do that right now. We'd like to kind of keep this focused, and make sure that we have all the major players on board with what we're talking about doing. So to summarize, 50% of curation rewards will still be paid out to everyone who's done curation thus far. We are going to fix the curve for curation to make it flatter, which will basically, it should be more represent a normal curve. More people should benefit from the curation rewards, but it will still achieve the original intent of rewarding those who voted early and who contributed to the growth in popularity, without causing it to be a loophole that allows the rich to get dramatically richer, according to N-cubed. So we're going to tweak all that, but fundamentally the message that we've stated from the beginning has not changed. We are 50% of the rewards are going to curators who did the best curation. And anyone who operated under the mindset of voting early for the best content will continue to be the highest rewarded people. There will just no longer be any significant advantage for being a whale during this. Everyone's going to be on equal footing relative to their stake, which should make it all a little bit more fair.
Now, what happens in this situation if, let's say, a whale splits their tokens across 20 accounts or so and has them all voting on the same content? I don't know personally what this effect would be, but would this change any of this?
Let me explain this very concisely. There's going to be no benefit to splitting your stake to multiple accounts, and there's going to be no benefit to combining your stake into a single account. Right now, there is a dramatic, huge benefit to combining your stake into a single account, which effectively says if you're a whale, you're profiting immensely, and if you're a minnow, you get nothing. We're going to remove any unintentional biases that we don't want to make it. We don't want to encourage Sybil attacks by making it more profitable to create many accounts. Right? That's another type of attack. We are going to avoid that. So the curve that Ben's outlined, the link's been posted here. It's a very technical curve with lots of math, and to be honest, a lot of the explanations go. We're going to explain all this in a detailed post here in a little bit.
And when you're saying that these effects are going to be taking place when? I read here that 50% of the curation rewards are going to be in place up until July 4th, after which that will change.
We're going to come out with a written proposal that identifies everything in detail here. It's just really hard to explain in words what's going on. The goal is all the changes are going to take effect before the 4th. Any changes to the curve will take effect before the before the 4th. Any changes to the percentages as far as how much we're allocating to curations versus comments versus activity, those changes will take effect after the 4th. And we'll have the code and a human-friendly explanation of what the code's going to do out as soon as possible, well before the 4th.
And people will see these changes reflected in their account then?
Reflected in their account.
I'm sorry, say that again, Fuzzy.
And people will see the changes reflected in their account then?
Yes.
On the 4th?
You'll see, we'll be able to deploy a preview so people can see what to expect.
Okay. And of course, Ned just spoke up and said, thank you to everybody for sitting around and listening to what they have to say and giving our input. And of course, I want to thank you too. And Ned and Lightmaster, thank you for bringing it up to us.
I feel like I've been doing a lot of talking. I'd like to actually get some feedback from other people about their concerns.
So can you explain how, I mean, I guess this mechanism is you want to have it so that regardless of the amount of steam power that you have, you're making it so that you're on equal footing. And so that the only thing that's really happening is you want to change it in such a way where the early voters get have the larger piece of the pie, so to speak. And I guess I want to understand what's now the incentive for people to want to vest, to have large vest amounts, if anything. Because it seems that if you have small, if everybody is equal footing, what's the reasoning to that people want to hold for longer?
Sure, there's two reasons people want to hold. One is it gives you greater influence over who gets what rewards. Yeah, the more voting power means that the Steem and everything that's produced starts to reflect your DNA more than others. That's one incentive. The other is, as an author, you get some benefit by being able to vote on your own stuff, which basically starts you out higher. It gives you an advantage over everyone, including the bots, on curating your own stuff. So overall, having Steem power.
Let me jump in here. Real quick. So the real goal, is to have a platform where people can always show up and contribute and earn rewards for that, and to have a balance in all that continually decentralizes, because if it's continually decentralizing, then the community is growing. at a more and more rapid rate. And growth is good. Growth correlates with market cap growth and just size of the ecosystem overall. So if you imagine, the total value of Steem in this big circle, then you have circles within that circle. One of them is for posting rewards. Another is for curation rewards. In the current model, the posting rewards circle is decentralizing the overall value of the network, while the curation rewards pie or circle is centralizing it. So the idea is to have the right balance between both of those so that the entire ecosystem continues to decentralize and grow. And we found that the posting rewards do that in a beautiful way and still have a slight amount of centralizing force through curation rewards, because there's benefit in that. There's benefit in having accounts consolidate. There's benefits in that because there's reputation in that. And that has a ripple effect on the whole system. It makes everyone very positive. So really, when we talk about the curation rewards curve, there does need to be some element of super linearity. And so that is what we're achieving with this new curve. I apologize, we didn't have a written proposal prepared for this discussion. We tried to. But I think it's important that everyone does see the steepness of the current curation curves and thinks about the overall ratios of the discussion rewards versus curation, and how having the right ratio there can allow us to have a decentralizing and growing ecosystem while we also have the incentives for people to build reputations.
Thank you, Ned, for really clearing that up. It's absolutely true that one of the benefits we get from the Steem power and encouraging the centralization of funds or accumulation of funds into a single account versus dividing it up is that it creates a much better reputation. It creates more incentive for you to have reputation. So the whole system is designed, like you said, I think you said it beautifully, Ned, of balancing things out. Ultimately, the goal is to grow the size of the pie rather than fighting over who's getting what percentage of a small pie. And as long as the pie is growing, everyone benefits.
Okay, well said. Let's take one more question, and then I think that the most important thing we can do for everyone is to come out with a very concise explanation and proposal, and we'll figure out the best way to continue discussion from there. But if there's one more burning question, let's take that, and then we'll get back to coding.
This isn't really a question, it's kind of an idea for an idea, and maybe Cryptoctopus could comment on this. In marketing, you do split testing, and I think I have an idea that it might be of a benefit for Steem to gamify and create a couple different teams, maybe even 3, and I don't know how they would interact, but instead of just switching, parameters on the fly, if you had people have the ability to join a team and have different parameters, different experiments, one team could have some jackpots for posting for people who don't have much Steem power, that occasionally a random jackpot gives them something. And we could see then we could see how things progress and which team is doing better, and fold things into the main chain, so to speak. So I don't really know what I'm talking about, but it's just an idea I wanted to throw out there.
All right, I think it's a great idea. The only thing that you need to be aware of is anytime you split, you worry about network effect, which dramatically causes loss of value. So we need to balance splitting things with other things. Smooth said something. I'd just like you to explain what you mean by it. He said his concerns are confiscating 80 to 100% of the reward value of Steem power. And I'd like to understand what your perspective is on the reward value of Steem power.
I'm guessing he thinks that what you meant by reducing the power of whales, he wasn't getting that you're just changing the superlinearity. He's thinking that you're not being proportional at all to your Steem power.
Everything has to be proportional to Steem power, no matter what we do. Otherwise, you have Sybil attacks. So, but I didn't know if that was. He's talking about the split between curation, which is paid to Steem power, and content, which is not. He's talking, so you're talking about the fact that curation receives vests, whereas content causes the effective rate of inflation to change because now there's more Steem dollars in circulation.
No, I think it's easier. It's the value to buy Steem power is given by using your Steem power to be able to make money with it in the end. So if you give less money, less of the payouts to Steem power holders, there's less incentive to buy Steem power. Because you don't need the Steem power anymore to use the platform.
So the thing is this: Smooth can post as much as he wants, and the more Steem power he has, the more he can vote for himself. So the argument there, I understand it, but there are still ways he can leverage his Steem power to max it.
So basically, the more Steem power you have, the greater opportunity you have to make money on the platform through the use of it. And that creates demand to increase your Steem power. Yeah, I think that's what you're trying to say.
He says the reward pool that was proposed to be cut from one Steem.
So let me jump in here.
Go ahead, Ned.
So the whole thing with rewards and potential rewards is nothing is guaranteed in this platform at all. You may be voting for things to get curation rewards, but I might create a bot to vote down everything you vote for. Smooth. Not saying I will, but it's completely subjective. Nothing is guaranteed here. And the fact that you can vote for your own posts, I believe, would give you the same potential earning power that you're talking about.
True. So
Smooth is saying here, it's not guaranteed to me, but is guaranteed to be paid out to some SP holders.
yes, in this case, it's guaranteed to be paid out to SP holders who comment and vote for themselves, SP holders who post and vote for themselves. And in some sense, SP holders who curate and get some for yourself. The more Steem power you have, the greater, the more rewards you can get from curating. So I think we're going to maintain all of those things. Steem power still has the property that the more you have, the more you can get the more returns you can get on your Steem Power by using the system.
Dan Test makes a good point here. He says, I think Ned means you get more because you can vote for your own posts and and your vote is worth more.
Yes.
I think that the idea is that if you have two posts, both that being everything being equal, and the number of R shares say is 1,000 for both of these two posts, and if you're a holder of Steem Power and you have only one Steem Power and you're the first voter, and if you're on the other post, that the payout is going to be the same regardless. Is this what the idea is?
There's too much background noise for me to understand what you were saying.
Yeah, that complexing, man, that's pretty nasty audio.
Yeah, sorry about that.
I can edit it out. Yeah, please type it in, Complex Ring. I'll go ahead and say it for you.
Okay, you asked for feedback before. I generally think it's a good idea because my stance is that anything that can be automated shouldn't give too much rewards. We could just give some interest rate instead then. And that's where the current situation headed to, that everyone automates somehow their voting to get that interest. So I like the lower amounts, and I like the idea that you have to post something, vote on it, and if it was good, other voters will follow and you will earn your money that way. That may work.
So wait a second, Ferrisum, are you saying let Steem Power have interest, earn interest?
No, I'm saying that's
Just
what
passively?
the bots. I'm saying that's what the bots effectively did. They earned interest on your Steem Power.
Right.
Yeah,
That's what activity rewards will do as well. It's also what the seniorage that goes to pay Steem Power holders does. There's a lot. I mean, yeah. Anyway,
I think we can sum it up this way. Right now, all rewards for Steem Power are perfectly linear in terms of there's no bias toward larger holders for holding Steem Power. The ability to curate allows people to vote and get this bias toward the more money you have, the faster you can earn more money. And that would be the same thing as saying that the interest rate you have increases with the amount of funds you have in your Steem Power. The analogy here would be to banks that pay lower interest on small balances and higher interest on larger balances. That creates incentive to increase the size of your balance so you can increase your rate of return. I agree that if there is going to be a system, we should try to avoid complex indirect ways of achieving that goal and just say it explicitly. If people create bots just so that they can get this effect on their Steem Power, then that's just incentivizing spamming of the network. It's distorting the voting behaviors, and there's unwanted distortions in the system. But we can have a incentive to centralize your funds, but that's a more involved proposal, and it's got some political philosophical issues that need to be considered. Many people are tired of this world we live in, where it seems like the rich get richer and the poor get poorer, and over time, the divide between the rich and the poor just gets wider. And having designing that kind of system in without careful checks and balances that redistribute it to other people will make the platform as a whole completely unappealing to the masses. So anyway, that's what we have right now. We'll summarize this discussion, summarize what everything will look like with the new code, and then the witnesses can vote and the stakeholders can vote on whether or not to adopt the proposed changes.
I'd like to make a comment before you go. I usually don't want to read what is popular with the masses. Otherwise, I'd be a sports fan or a reader of, the junk newspapers at the checkout of a grocery store.
That is true. The goal in everything is to achieve the desired goals, build an efficient system that works and is easily understood by the masses. It's not to build something that works how the masses think they want it to work, but we do need to make sure that the masses don't reject it because they think it doesn't work.
Also, there are several masses. You will never approach the masses which still buy their newspaper at the newspaper stand. But the other mass which rejects those kind of news sources for what they are is growing.
Additionally, with something like Steemit, we were talking earlier about how individuals can actually have their own blog, have Steemit as a back end, which would enable them to essentially filter all the content that they have to be customized to the demographic that they're trying to catch, right? So when you look at that as a possibility for the future, like let's say Beyond Bitcoin does get the funding for this template, and then other content creation projects start doing similar things, I think that this will greatly change the situation as well, the dynamics of the situation. I mean, you think about a $4 billion market cap for Reddit. If we got up to that, we could support the payments to many blogs that have their own, essentially, sub-Steemit and their own websites. So it might not necessarily always need to be like foundational changes. It could be new layers that are built on top of it. But what they're talking about, I think, is we need to make one where people who reach a certain threshold just don't become the kings of the castle who can never be taken out of the castle, even if somebody creates far better content and curates in a way that they find the best content in the world. If they get in too late, then they can't even catch up, which is, I think, the essence of this, right?
We don't want to have a system where the incumbents have a huge advantage. We want to make sure that it continues to recognize and reward people in a way that most people feel is reasonable. It doesn't have to be perfect, but reasonable. We need a go if we're going to wrap this up and get the code and white paper out today. So please, thank you everyone for understanding and good feedback from all involved.
Thank you guys for joining up and talking about it with us and bringing it up. Please, after we have this white paper out and we can read through it, maybe we can talk about it in the future. With that said, does anybody have anything that they'd like to end this on? If not, I do. Okay, everyone, thank you for joining us. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to post real quick this link here to the template for Steem content creators that KenCode wants to have his web dev guys working on for us. Please consider upvoting it if you would like to see this template go live and be available to anybody who has their own content production projects and websites. And at Brindle Swan, the bot is almost up. I'm not going to tell you when, but I have other people running it now who are in our community who I can trust to probably keep it up a heck of a lot better. So that guest book signing will be included. And I actually am hoping to take some of the Steem dollars that I've earned to plug that into Steem itself so people can potentially tip their own tokens in addition to the Steem tokens. And maybe even, this is just something I'm kicking around, but if there are people who are interested in helping me make this happen, I would definitely be interested once that happens in distributing Beyond Bitcoin tokens and having maybe an automatic buyback mechanism or something that uses some of the Steem-backed dollars earned from Beyond Bitcoin content to give to the people who give really high quality posts and stuff, for instance, in the RSVP threads. If I can give out ownership in Beyond Bitcoin tokens, which gives a little bit of an extra profit in terms of the SBD earned, then I can incentivize community members to go above and beyond, and I can kind of micromanage my own community, which I believe would be an amazing way of moving forward, especially if others follow suit with their own crypto tokens. And the cool thing is, it's not that hard to create a BitShares asset that is directly related to a tag that's on Steemit. So, thank you guys, everybody, for showing up.
Thanks, Fuzzy.
Thanks for having us.